And more
Yeah.
consciously. So when I say methodology, for instance, in the buying cycle, and we started down this pathway as you were asking me, how did I actually know where to go in the organization to find all those influencers?
Yeah.
And you also asked, then how do you know where they are in
Yeah.
each of their individual
Right.
buying processes?
Yeah.
So part of it is paying attention to that. Part of it's building a really good database, making sure that all that information is captured. Not that in the moment with somebody on the phone, you don't use your intuition, but you also have to prepare. So for instance, if I'm doing a discovery conversation, which is what I call the next stage. So the executive has received the briefing. They've said, yes, we are actually thinking about this particular business problem that you've mentioned.
Right.
And then we book a meeting either with that executive or with someone on their team. And then 7 out of 10 times, the executive who receives the briefing refers to somebody on their team, which says a green light to, yes, we're worried and thinking about this particular business issue, and B, here's the person on my team who's the lead. So in that discovery conversation, you come prepared. You're not there to tell your sales story. That's a very traditional idea. And again, the internet and teaching us about being polite, and at a cocktail conversation, we wouldn't talk about ourselves all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens now in sophisticated sales settings and business development. So the person you're meeting with, you've prepared some high gain questions, and those questions are based on business intelligence you've gathered through your research. You're a writer, so you know if you're writing for a purpose and an audience, you can't take a risk because you don't have a lot of time, and you have to be precise to get to the outcome you want after 15 or 20 minutes. So the preparation of a high gain question is often going and listening to the webcast, podcast, earnings reports, investor relations stuff, which for a public company is all really available. Mm-hmm. So you can listen to the most senior executives' statements of priorities in their reports to shareholders, in public statements, and you can have a pretty good idea of what those priorities are, so that when you're talking to that individual in a discovery environment, to say, how is the company thinking about things like customer experience? I noticed that, and you mentioned what your research turns up, and then you can segue into, oh, so have you thought about this possibility to reach a solution? So it's a co-creation as opposed to, here's something better and great, do you want it or not?
Right. And of course they're flattered that you did that, and whoever you're seeing, that person that's the lead of that particular area, and says, well, actually that you got that, but not only that, there's this, and then you get more information that you want to get from him or her.
And out of that comes who else is involved. Yeah. You can ask the question directly, or quite often it will come up. It will be, well, you know, I don't really make that decision on my own. You know, our group of X, Y, and Z, and then you ask permission to go and speak to them. So it becomes a chain with permission, and with a series of green lights, just as if you were going to Hollywood with your script that you needed to get approved. You got to get a series of green lights.